and welcome to today's episode of Conversations with Karen and Kat. I'm Karen Scott Green.
And I'm Kat Hardrick.
And we are joined today with Neesha Whitehead.
All right. Also known as Sunshine.
Yeah, also known as Sunshine. Welcome, Sunshine. Sunshine is the CEO and founder of Not On My Own, a nonprofit organization. So tell us about, can you share the origin story for Not On My Own that you created in 2019?
Yes. So, hi, everyone. I'm Sunshine, also known as Neesha, and I represent NOMO. So, I am NOMO. And what is NOMO? NOMO means not on my own. And this is a nonprofit that I started back in 2019. So, shortly after I graduated college, I wanted to do something. I wanted to impact lives, and I knew that the information that I knew could help somebody else out. And when I was 21, I purchased my first home.
Okay.
On my third home. And I know that the information that I have, other people need. And so my plan was to teach people adulting in real life. After you graduate school, nobody's there to teach you it. You have to figure out what's it like to be an adult, to pay bills, to get a car, to get a job. And nobody helps you.
Right.
And you learn all this stuff in school, but how can you apply that in real life? So NOMO came about, and I wanted to encourage people to let them know you are not on your own in life.
Yeah.
I try to focus on everybody. I say NOMO is for everyone because we all need somebody. We all need a support system. We all need somebody there to teach us and guide us. And if you know something, why not pass it on to the next person?
That's right. We need that village. We need that
Absolutely.
village. That's good, girl. I love it. How in the world did you get a house at 21? How was that process?
Listen, so a funny story is when I was 20, like most teenagers, when it's time to move out, you want to move in with your friends. Everybody wants to move in with their friends and get an apartment. You didn't want to move out with your friends?
No, I wanted my own space.
Listen, I was excited to, and my girls, we were like, let's do it. And we presented it to our moms, like, we want to get this apartment. We think we can make it work. And we sat down with my friend's mom, and her mom was like, nope, it's not adding up. But me, I had $1 left over. And I was like, I'm still afloat. I got $1 left. So I think I could do this adult thing.
Right.
As long as the bills got paid, I got fed, we're good. And I went to my mom and I told her, I said, well, I'm not going to get an apartment with them because it's not going to work financially. And she said, why don't you get a house? And I was like, I can't get a house. I'm too young. She was like, you're not too young. And I was like, yes, I am. Like, I got to get an apartment first, like I got to start here.
Right.
And she's a real estate agent, and she still is to this day. And so she told me when I want to really take her serious, she would help me out. And I said, all right, I'm ready now. And she sent me the stuff for the lenders, and she walked me through it. And here we are, third house later. And I love it. And after I sold my first house, I was like,
I got this.
Yeah, this is really for me. I like this lifestyle.
You know what? I wonder why in society we think we have to go a certain path. Like you said, I need to get an apartment before I get a house.
Right.
I don't understand what you think that is. That society pushes us to, you got to be a renter first and give all that rent money. Because at 21, who's really thinking about getting a house at 21?
Nobody. Because I didn't even believe my mom. She told me that I could do it. And when I was in college, I'll tell you, I was in this class, and I got my approval letter from the lender. And it was $60,000. And let me tell you, I was so happy because I didn't know what $60,000 could get me.
Yeah.
I was like, woohoo. I came back to class shouting like, I got $60,000. And then I went on, I went online to look at some homes that were $60,000. And it was giving very much shack. Oh, can't buy much with $60,000.
Right.
Anyways, I went with another lender because that's one thing you do have to do is shop around. So you shop around for your mortgage, and I did, and I got approved for 85,000. And I was like, okay, it's a little bit more. Let's see what I can find.
We're moving upwards.
Yeah, we're moving. Let's see what I can get with this. And sure enough, I got a 3-bedroom, 2-bath for $85,000. And I closed on that property, and it was beautiful. And I just was like, wow, I did it. And it wasn't even that hard. And I think that part right there is that it wasn't even that hard, but it's that mental blockage, like you said, what's stopping us from getting to that next level. Why do we think we have to go a certain route? Those mental blockages. And if you know something, you can do something about it, versus if you don't and you're just assuming this is the way.
Changing mindsets.
Right.
And for NOMO, your mission focuses on what you call the 3 E's: educate, empower, and encourage.
Yeah.
How do those principles shape your day-to-day outreach and what you're doing in the community?
So it used to be the 3 E's. I changed it now to the 4 E's.
Okay.
The 4th E is every day.
Every day. Okay.
So educate, empower, and encourage every day. I try to do that with any person that I interact with, any person that I come across, because sometimes people need that push. They need that hug, a mental hug, a physical hug. You never know how far a conversation with one person can get. A conversation with Karen and Kat can get.
Hey.
So, I really do try to focus on impacting lives every day.
Absolutely.
You have a program. I actually had the opportunity to swing by. Can you tell our audience a little bit about these events that you host?
Yes. So we have NOMO events every second Saturday. Write that down. Every second Saturday, we're having a NOMO event. I like to do them at different locations because right now, my hot audience is in 4 counties. However, I want to be everywhere, but even being in those 4 counties right now is tough as we're growing, but I'm thankful for it.
Yes.
So with our events, we had a budgeting class that was our last event. So not only do I try to teach about budgeting ways to save money, but also, again, that mental blockage. I want NOMO to be a bridge for people to understand you're here and this is how you can get here.
Right.
And these are the people and the resources that you need to get there. So it's shaped to be a networking, it's shaped to be inclusive for everybody. And it's shaped to build and impact people as much as I can and as much as they can get from it.
And when is the next event?
Our next event is going to be June 14th. It's going to be held at Alexander Park, which is in Lawrenceville. Oh, yep, there's our flyer.
For those that are listening and that are not watching, there is a flyer on the screen that gives the details of the next event for NOMO, the Summer Water Day, June 14th in Alexander Park. And tell us what the listeners could expect for your event.
At this event, I want it to be more like a summer kickoff for adults, for kids, for everybody, because I think what happens is in society, we think that adults aren't allowed to have fun. Adults are supposed to sit to the side and watch the kids have fun. And that's a problem because it limits you as a person to what you can do and how you can grow, and even exercising, which
wink, wink, right?
Wink, wink, shoulder, shoulder. We know most adults, they don't care to exercise, but sometimes just getting out there and getting active, not only for somebody else, but for yourself, because you're pouring back into yourself. And at this water day, we're going to have some fun and kind of kick back and talk summer plans, and then moving forward for your growth for the rest of the year. One thing with NOMO that I like to do is mental health. So I'm big on that, and I'm big on focusing on who you are and what you need to get to your next level. And that is what I'm trying to get out of this. So from water days, the next one, we're going to be focusing on just that next transition in life, because every month people are going through different things and just being there for one another, and being outside is good and enjoying the day. Let's enjoy the day at a water day.
Getting that vitamin E from the sun, that serotonin also.
And vitamin D. I know that's right.
Yeah.
Did
So go ahead.
I'm sorry, sis. Do you have like a structured program with regard to your every Saturday events? Do you have like this week month is budgeting? What are your key pillars that you're teaching with NOMO?
Yeah, so my pillars are first the 4 E's: educate, empower, and encourage every day. So at those events, that's the mission, that's the goal. For the most part, they have been looking like a self worksheet. So when you come to an event, you get a worksheet, and that worksheet kind of just gives you a guideline as to what you need to do for your next steps, where you want to be, and who you want to become. And I'm big on financial literacy. So making sure that people understand, different things, and having somebody who they can come and talk to and ask questions for those home buying, for credit building, for things like the adulthood that's not taught.
I think I need to send my 2 college students to your event. Seriously, that they're
Yeah.
home for the summer. But what gaps have you noticed in traditional education that led to adult that has not led to adult readiness?
Clarity, full clarity and transparency.
Okay.
I think as adults, we hold back from the youth because we shelter them as far as, okay, go to school, go to school, go to school, go to school. That's what we, hound on our kids. But we don't hound on be a better person, love yourself, love your neighbor. What are you doing to grow? Mentally, physically, emotionally, what are you doing? So I think that's kind of where the lack has been in schools, because once they graduate, and even for myself, and you guys can think back to when you were a teenager, the things that you had to go through, the things that you had to overcome and endure, that if your parent had told you, and that's why I say that transparency, because parents don't like to tell the full truth. I'll do my quotes because every parent is different. With that full truth, you tell them, hey, this is what it's like doing this. So for me, my mom, she said, this is what it's like when you get your home. I came home and I told her I had a credit card. She said, okay, you only need to use 30% of that credit card. These little things that are just brushed upon that plays a huge impact. So when you're 18, you're going out to Victoria's Secret and you're getting that credit card because they're telling you can save that 10%. And you're like, yay, 10%. But in reality, you're not shopping at Victoria's Secret every month. You're not paying that credit card off in full every month. So now your credit usage is too high.
Right.
So you're teaching young people about credit and home ownership. And these are some of the things that are missing in school currently. They used to teach it though. What's the response that you are getting from young people when you're teaching these subjects?
Thankfulness. Thankfulness. They feel heard. They feel like somebody, because right now I'm at a point in my life where I'm not too far from where they've been, and I have enough knowledge where I can say, hey, this is what I did. I always tell people the way my mom raised me was, if there's a pothole on the left, that means you need to go to the right. Most people don't have that mentality. They say, oh, I want to see the pothole. I want to see how deep it is. For me is, oh, you said it was there? Thank you very much. I'll go this way. So just being that person for somebody else, honestly.
Because I've got one of those kids that has to touch the stove to see.
You gotta show me stay. Show me stay.
Yes.
That was not me. That was not me. Listen, you told me it was hot. Heard, Captain. Heard.
What I think that's super good. I mean, everything that you're doing is nice, but I love the fact that you're reaching out to everyone, because while not every parent may not be transparent, but you can't teach what you don't have inside of you. And so a lot of parents are just repeating what they knew, which is just to survive. And survive may mean just go to work, go to school, get good grades, graduate, get a job. Some people may not even know about a higher level of education or a trade or anything. It's just get a job and stay out of trouble, keep your head down. And then you wonder, next thing you know, you're 30 years old and you haven't really gained adulting. So I think it's very important, because now we have adults, these, in their 30s and so forth. And I mean, I had to learn the hard way. I thought I had big money in my bank, child. I had $2. I was like, what? I'm in the store trying to buy something. And they was like, yeah, no. And I literally had to take a financial literacy class. And this was way back decades. And I don't even know if people do that anymore. When you bounce a check, somebody snatch you up and put you in a class so you'll know how to do things. But I think now we have that. That's NOMO, right? You need some help in learning how to budget your money. I'm gonna need you to contact NOMO, Not on My Own. I love it. Get out of here. What is you welcome. She said thanks. You're welcome. So I was at the event. I had a great time. I wanted you to talk about some of the when you go to this class, I want you to hit on, you had an exercise that we did beyond the worksheet when we went to the other table.
Okay, I can talk about that.
Yeah.
That was nice thing. Okay, so before I talk about that, I will say how NOMO is for everybody. Yeah. So I've built it in a way where K through 5, we're focusing on leadership, character building, and fun. That's what it's intended for, K through 5. That's what they need. That is their need. Middle school is focused on learning how to drive, applying for jobs, building your resume, things like that. Just that small transition, because you're a teenager, you're learning, and teenagers start to, feel themselves, think they think they got it all. But, okay, here's a little bit more. And then the adulthood is what's mostly focused on that mental, physical, spiritual, emotional growth. And at the event, well, prior to the event, our last event, one of our students, he needed to learn about budgeting, and he's 9 years old. And I told him, it's time to budget. So how will you make money, right? Because at the end of the day, we all need money to survive. We need money to survive. And he had some shark teeth. And I said, okay, you got some shark teeth. So now how would you sell this? How would you want to sell this? What I had him do was he separated his teeth from largest to smallest and put them for different amounts that he would want to sell them for. And we got a worksheet. So we got out a piece of paper, because I'm big on writing down your budget. Because when you write it down, you can see it for real. And he wrote it all out. And he was able to say, okay, if I sell this many shark teeth at this amount, I can get this much money. Again, this is budgeting that we all have to do as adults, even with our bills. So breaking it down to a kid's level helped him understand what he had to do and the things that he needs to do to sell these shark teeth, even at his 9-year-old stage.
That's right.
And my good tie-in to that was I help him with schoolwork too. So I also do a little bit of tutoring, and I tell him that, hey, these are like those math problems, right? Wink, wink, shoulder, shoulder, because math is still good, and it's still needed, especially that basic algebra, because you have to apply these things in real life. Now, NOMO is good beyond school, but school is still needed. Your basic education is still needed, and I'm not going to say that is not needed. It is. And so just tying that back for him, it allowed him to see that, even these math problems that I'm doing at school is the same math I'm going to have to do as an adult. Right. Like if you want to get a shirt that's discounted, you need to do that percentage of what that is to get that shirt at that discounted amount.
Yeah. The curriculum at NOMO can help make their coursework relevant to their everyday life.
Right. And it's nice. And even when I help them with like language arts work, it's funny reading the stuff that they put in the schoolwork now, but it sets the tone and it sets the stage. And like I said, it makes it more relatable. And for me growing up, I had to switch my name on those questions. If it said Little Sally, I need to put Little Neesha, Little Sunshine did this. Okay. That way it's more relatable because it is real life. If somebody gives you 2 apples and you only had 2 apples, how many apples do you have now? 4 apples. So, just applying that basic stuff to real life.
Yeah. That's excellent, because a lot of kids think that, since I know when some of the kids that I mentor, they don't realize and connect the dots with that. So that's real good that this organization does that for folks, put it in real terms. So you would know you're not just going to the store and see mommy and daddy cash out. You need to pay attention A long time ago, I created a game where I called it The Life of a Dollar. One day, my son was like, "Ma, can we go to the store and buy some food?" And I was like, "No, I don't have any money." And he said, "Go to the telly." And I was like, "Yeah, but I got to put money in the telly,
It
out of the telly." And that's when it hit.
ain't free money, baby.
Right, and that's when it hit. I was like, yeah, I got to start teaching my kids about this thing called life. And I let them start paying the bills. And, we had that conversation. That was a good conversation of saying what happens in this house, stay in this house. I need you to tell my money. Because
Right.
we really sat down and talked about, okay, this is how much money we have. This is how much money we got to go out. Now, can you really go get this food? Can I really go buy these shoes? Can I really go da-da-da? And now, they're financially responsible. And so I agree with you. But it's also like, I love the fact that you have parents involved with this, because I do feel like a lot of us just don't know it and we're not honest with it. We're embarrassed to say, I'm at this good old age and I really don't know how to budget.
Right.
I mean, to your point, how many people are in commercial debt right now?
Yeah. No, it's true. And it's needed. It really is. And I think the more people that know about NOMO, or honestly just feel it, because the phrase is, I am NOMO.
Right.
You are NOMO, we are NOMO, because it's true. And once we for real come together and know that we are not alone, we can accomplish so much more. We can do so much more. We can grow so much farther, because we are coming together as one versus trying to, oh, I got it. And then just, it's like a selfish. I want to be selfish with knowledge. I don't want to be selfish with knowledge. I want to spread it and share it to whoever I can.
Yeah.
And so, Sunshine, what topics surprised you that seemed to resonate the most with young people that you cover?
What topics?
Yes, that you're covering, like as far as like financial literacy, how to use credit, how to do budgeting. Like what really resonates the most with younger people?
They just want money. That's all they're focused on is money. And it's like, money is great and money will pay the bills. That's one thing money is good for, paying some bills. But beyond the money, then what? So I think a lot of the generation is focused on that.
Okay.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, like even with this church, so we do marketing and we do our own merch. And the kids love that because it gives them something to do and be a part of. And it's something they get to let their creative outlet on, which is nice. And I've seen that they really, really do like merchandise, and they just love it. And it gives them that opportunity to express themselves via clothes. And you can sell clothes. So it's a win-win for them. And I think that that's something that they enjoy the most, honestly.
That's right.
I remember being in high school and being in junior achievement in high school many, 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 many years ago.
Yesterday.
And as part of junior achievement, we had to, like, we were grouped and we had to start a business. We had to come up with a marketing plan. We had to decide how we were going to get capital. We had to buy our product, and then we sold the product around the school. But that insight stuck with me 30, 40, almost 40 years later, remembering, those principles about how do you start a business, even the basic part in high school of like putting together a business plan, and figuring out what raw materials you need and how do you market it, how do you get people to buy this widget that you're selling. And so organizations like NOMO, like Junior Achievement, and other organizations that are teaching students, young people, financial literacy can only, enhance and go along with like what they learn in formal education. But back then, junior achievement was in the school.
Yeah.
And depends on what school you was going to, because I ain't never heard of that till I mean, serious. I'm just being honest.
Yeah,
not everybody's fortunate to have those resources.
My school back in the, my school was very diverse. We were about 30% Black, about 30%, 35% white, and then we had a large Hispanic population because our school was what was called a magnet school. We had the only ESL school program in the entire portion of the county at the time.
Oh, dang. Okay.
Now they're at every school, but back then they didn't have ESL at every school.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a very, very mixed culturally too. Like we had a lot of Caribbean people. So
Okay.
anyway, it was a even with all of that diversity, we still had programs in the school, programs that now, they wouldn't have funding for.
Yeah. Well, Sunshine, you always talk about, taking care of mental well-being. And one of the things that we do on this show, we're all about mental health. And we're always encouraging people that you're not alone doing this span of living your best life. So with all of the things that you do, is your mental health and your mental well practice to keep you centered and going forward doing all the great things that you're doing today?
You said, what is mine?
Yes. What is yours? Like to live tips. So what you share, somebody may not know how to deal with their mental health issues, but if we drop nuggets and let people know that, one, we're going to break the stigma. There's nothing wrong with saying I've had enough. It's nothing wrong with saying I need support. It's nothing wrong with saying I need a therapist. So we want to give people tools so that they know that they're not alone, just like what you're saying with NOMO.
I love that. For me, I would say quiet time, but it happens either one or two ways. One, when I've just reached my max, and it takes a while for me to reach my max. It really does, because I try to talk to myself throughout the day. Like when they say your own best friend, I'm like, so we'll say Neesha and Sunshine. Hey, girl. Yeah, girl. But sometimes I have to have conversations with myself and just replay out whatever situation has bothered me. So in that moment, I try not to wait too long. I try to handle it head on. So as soon as I'm annoyed, irritated, frustrated, whatever the case may be, I sit myself down mentally and I say, okay, what about this upset you? At what point did you feel like, So once I sit back and I have that moment with myself, I'm like, oh, it was when they said this. And I'll just go and approach like, hey, when you said this, it made me feel this type of way.
Yeah.
And
self-checking and self-awareness is so important.
It is, because the number one thing that I have learned with people is that we all have perceptions and experiences of our own, which gives us that mindset of why we did what we did in the first place.
Yeah.
So let's do a simple example. If there's a cookie right here on the table, right? Here's a cookie. I know I want that cookie when I get off of work, but I didn't tell anybody that I wanted that cookie. I just left it on the counter and knew that I was going to eat that cookie when I got off of work. So let's say somebody else in the house came and said, oh, look, a cookie, my lucky day. I'm so happy. I was so sad today. And what do you know? Here's a cookie for me. I come home, the cookie is gone. Now I'm upset with whoever took that cookie, and I'm mad because I wanted that cookie when I came home. That was my treat when I came home. That's my experience and my perception versus their perception and their experience of they were having a bad day, and here is a lucky cookie for them, and now their day is better. So that communication, that self-awareness, and what I learned is, instead of, let's say I came home and I was rah, 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 where's my cookie? Where's my cookie? I need to see why me didn't tell everybody else this is my cookie and this is my plans for that, because you can't assume that somebody knows your thoughts, because they don't.
But you ain't buy it, don't touch it.
Did you leave it there? Because I would have like Godzilla. Where's my cookie? Cookie.
Sound good till it's gone in their stomach and digested already.
You ain't buy that cookie.
Look, no, that's a good example. I mean, how many parents can say, child, I came home, my mouth was watering, and that bag of chips was gone, that last cup of Kool-Aid.
Me all the time.
Listen.
Me all the time. But we get what you're saying, but we're good fun.
Yeah.
So for those who want to be in contact with Not on My
Not on my own. I know that's
Not on My Own.
Sunshine.
And Sunshine. You can reach her at the website, notonmyown.org. You can also reach Sunshine via email at
nonprofit That's our logo
NOMO.
name. NOMO
Okay, let me try this
nonprofit.
again. There you go. NOMO Nonprofit 2019. NOMO Nonprofit 2019 at Gmail.
Mm-hmm.
And you can also reach them via phone at 678-677-2900. And for those of you who
So
can't see
I know
it,
I was about to
she's
say
giving
that.
me she said, call me.
But whoever's listening, she's all animated. She like pointing. Y'all gotta check out the video, man. She is hilarious. I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I love
But
it.
please do reach out to NOMO and take part in their summer event come June 14th at Alexander Park in Lawrenceville, right up the street for those of you in Gwinnett County, family friendly day. So is this like an adult field day?
Yes, that's exactly what I
Okay.
wanted to be. Yes.
Yeah,
It's an
okay.
everybody field day because everybody's included.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't get my hair wet.
That's
Anyway.
okay. We'll do below the neck.
Right.
Don't be pouring no buckets over my head. Don't be hitting me with no water balloons. I might
Girl,
fight.
I
Especially
had
with
to
the
come
Jewish flesh.
the day before my hair, the day before
The
I
day
get
for your hair appointment, right?
right. Look, see, I got no.
These
That's a
are
cute rap.
jokes.
Oh, okay.
These are all jokes. But thank you for joining us. As always, we thank you for joining us on this episode of Conversations with Karen and Kat.
Well, we are impacting the world one conversation at a time.